who was that mommy one time, and she's going to tell you about her journey.
Hi guys. So I'm Crystal Burt, but my main name was Ballinger, and I was on the receiving end of so many of your prayers of people in this room, very room right here tonight. So I want to thank you personally for those. I was a teen mom who was also born to teen parents myself. I was raised by my grandmother. At 16 years old and just beginning my junior year at Lebanon High School, I found myself in a dark place and overcome with fear. I thought, could I possibly be pregnant? Shortly after the school year began, it was confirmed that I indeed was pregnant. This news not only came with fear and anxiety, but disappointment with myself, and a flood of concerns and questions. How was I going to go to school? How am I going to tell my grandmother? How am I going to provide for this little human? For me, there was only one option, and that was to raise my baby. Being a child of a teen mom and knowing that my mother had had help, the thought of having an abortion never went through my mind. The boy that I had been dating had requested me to have one, even tried to physically harm me. But all I could remember was that my grandma had helped my mom, and even through the disappointment, she would help me too. Disappointment, this was the hardest feeling to cope with. Disappointment in myself and disappointment in knowing that I had disappointed others. I knew my grandmother wanted so much more for me and my life than to be faced with the struggles, of teen pregnancy and that parenthood would bring. At home, after a few months, we were able to work through the disappointment, fear, and anxiety, and embrace and love the situation I was in, and we prepared to welcome this little life growing inside of me into our home. However, teen pregnancy was still a struggle. I found myself no longer connecting with things or having things in common with my friends. I would even be on the receiving end of comments like, "You're just not the same anymore," or "You're not as much fun as you once were." And oftentimes found myself embarrassed to even walk down the hallways of my school. There isn't anything easy about being 9 months pregnant and trying to make your way through the halls of a high school. Or even after having my daughter, sitting in class and in so much pain because it was time to feed her. A girl I knew had already had a baby and told me about a class that she was part of for young parents. She shared with me all the resources that were available to me. As I learned more, I joined her. I found myself part of a community of girls who were walking the same road that I was on. There I learned how to be a mom, how to connect with my baby, how to receive help in completing high school. I found my friends there, all because of community. Thankfully, because of the Lord's ministry here at PAC, educating young parents was something the community saw a need for, and there was hope for me. In the dark, where my future seemed impossible, where I had little to no hope, I caught a glimpse of the light. Because of the help in this community, I was able to successfully graduate high school. I no longer felt like a walking disappointment and could finally walk through the hallways with my head up because I was no longer alone or ashamed. And now the Lord has brought me here, full circle, volunteering at this pregnancy center, using what I went through to help other young men and women walk through it too. It's not a walk that's meant to be walked alone, and I'm so thankful for the resources, the volunteers, and the staff here at PAC that offer tokens of hope to those girls. So